It is with great pleasure that we share our space today with such prominent guests. And I want to thank you, Mrs. Bush, and the Laura Bush Foundation for selecting Blackshear Elementary as the site for this very special event. So thank you. And now, to provide us with more information about why we are all gathered here this morning, I would like to introduce the chair of the Laura Bush Foundation, Ambassador Pam Williford.
You are representing the other schools across the nation who are receiving grants today, so thank you for being here. As Principal Jenkins said, I have the honor of chairing the Laura Bush Foundation for America's Libraries, and have had that honor since 2001 when Mrs. Bush had the idea to form the foundation, and that was the first year that President Bush was in office. Now, I'm the only board member who lives here in Austin, and I'm delighted that Austin ISD Schools wrote such wonderful grant proposals this year. We're awarding grants in 34 states and the District of Columbia this year. And Austin was one of only 3 cities in the country, cities or towns, that received 6 or more grants this year. So. Now, I better add there that because I live here, I did not make the decisions. My colleagues from across the country read the proposals that were submitted this year, and they made the decision and picked your schools. So as the Austin member, I didn't make it happen, but I would love to take some credit for it. Your librarians and your principals made it happen. And congratulations, and thank you again for being here to represent your schools. And thank you also to Superintendent Cruz and the AISD school board members who are here today. Because I live here, I know how hard all of you work each and every day to make education for young people like these better and to help them be successful. Now, since we started, the Laura Bush Foundation has awarded more than $12.5 million in regular grants and another $6.5 million to schools in the Gulf Coast after the devastating hurricanes of 2005. So that's a total of approximately $19 million that we have awarded since our inception. And all of that money has gone to libraries like the one we're in today to improve their book and reading collections. Now, students, and I'm going to talk to the students, the rest of you are welcome to listen. I know that you come in here to see Mr. Grape and to check out books for reading and for assignments, and that's what we want you to do. But because you're good readers, I'm assuming that you're also math whizzes. So if you do the math for $19 million, that's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of books that have been put in school libraries like this one and in students' hands like yours across the nation. That's a lot of books, a lot of reading, and a lot of students getting to enjoy and learn from those books. And I'm going to let you students in on a secret. Mrs. Bush is a very, very busy woman. But that busy woman loves to read and has always loved to read. She loves to read, but she's also a former teacher and librarian, and she understands how important it is to provide books for students like you to read for enjoyment, to help with your studies, when your students and your faculty lessons, and to make you to be readers that will love to read for the rest of your lives just like she is. So please help me thank Mrs. Bush for her vision and leadership in spotlighting the importance of helping schools and libraries and for getting lots of new books that you will see here in your library next year.
Well, hi, my name is Caleb Walsh, and it is my pleasure to introduce our special guest today. She has loved reading since she was a child. Her love of reading helped her decide to become a teacher and librarian. She had been a librarian in Houston, Dallas, and Austin before becoming the First Lady of Texas. She founded the Texas Book Festival and later, when she became the First Lady of the United States, she founded the National Book Festival in Washington, D.C. She is also well known for being a big supporter of the fine arts, which is great for Blackshear Elementary since we now are a fine arts academy. Ms. Bush also happens to be married to a former president of the United States, George W. Bush. And they have 2 daughters named Barbara and Jenna. And now, I am proud to present to you all, drum roll please, Miss Laura Bush.
I was telling the class that I read to before that I always loved reading, and then I ended up making what I love to do into my job and became a librarian. So you might think about the things you love to do right now. Is there something you do that when you grow up, you could do it as a job? And I think that's what Caleb has already figured out in doing the newscast in the morning here at school. And that is something he'd like to do and focus on when he's grown up. This is a happy day for me to be here in Austin ISD, for the announcement of the grants from the Laura Bush Foundation. This is where I got a degree in library science at the University of Texas. This is where I served as a school librarian at Dawson Elementary School on South First. And then this is where my girls went to high school. They graduated from Austin High School and went to downtown high school here. And then Jenna stayed and went to the University of Texas here as well. So thank you all. It's fun to get to be here in this school district that means so much to me. And thanks especially to the school board members, all the trustees, and the administrators, and Dr. Cruz. Thank you for the really terrific work you're doing. I know that you all are making a real effort to have this school district be one of the best in the nation, and I thank you very much for that. So Dr. Cruz, trustee Ted Gordon, who has Blackshear Elementary as part of his purview as a trustee, and to all the AISD trustees, thank you for joining us today. It really means a lot when we make these announcements, if even the school board trustees show up. So thank you very much for that. Thanks to all the kids who are here. Caleb just gave me a great tour. We watched a very cute first grade class do a special dramatic reading of one of my favorite children's books, Are You My Mother? You all know that book? And then, of course, a special thanks to Pam Williford, Ambassador Pam Williford, who's been our fearless director of the Laura Bush Foundation since its very beginning. And as Pam said, she has a great group of educators and librarians who read the hundreds of grant applications that come in every year and then make the difficult decisions on which libraries will receive those grants. Principal Betty Jenkins, thank you very, very much. Thank you for hosting us at your school at Blackshear. Thank you so much for that. I just visited Miss Bowden's first grade, as I told you, and one of the reasons Caleb wanted me to visit that grade to see them do the dramatic reading is because he's a mentor. He's the reading buddy with a boy in that class, and so thank you for that. And that's also a wonderful program that I can tell Blackshear has, and that is pairing older students who love to read already with younger students who are just learning to read. So thank you, Caleb, for that. I'm happy to be here, especially with this great group of children who are in front of us. Thank you all for hosting me at your school. And finally, I want to acknowledge and thank your librarian, who calls himself a guybrarian, Mr. Roger Grape. He's the reason we're here today, and thank you so much. Thank you for your work that you do. As a teacher myself and a fellow librarian, I care deeply about developing every child's love for reading and learning. This was important to me as First Lady of Texas and then as First Lady of the United States. In fact, it was during campaign trips when George was running for president that I visited schools all over the nation, and I saw school libraries with outdated sets of Britannica, with empty shelves. And that's one of the reasons, after all those school visits across the country, and of course, and many times those were the schools where the children needed books the most, because they might not have had a lot of books at home. So in 2002, I established the Laura Bush Foundation for America's Libraries to provide funds to update, extend, and diversify the book collections of America's school libraries. Libraries just like the one we're in today. So it's a great pleasure today to announce this year's round of school libraries, 131 schools in 35 states across the nation, receiving new grants totaling more than $875,000 from the Laura Bush Foundation. And I had in here the statistics that Pam already told you about, how many schools have already received grants. And Austin, Texas, can, as she told you, can proudly claim 6 of these grant recipients. So congratulations to Blackshear Elementary Fine Arts Academy for receiving a grant from the Laura Bush Foundation for America's Libraries. And thank you, Mr. Grape, for using the funds to make your library the perfect place to fall in love with reading. We're joined by the principals, librarians, and a student from each of the other grant recipients in Austin ISD. So please stand if you're from Up House Early Childhood Center. Thank you all. Perfect. The Dobie Pre-Kindergarten Center. Great, thank you all. Riley Elementary. Great, thank you so much. Palm Elementary. Great, terrific, thanks. And Travis High School. Thank you all, and thanks to the principals and librarians of these schools for your efforts to improve your school library. Blackshear Elementary Fine Arts Academy is an impressive East Austin school with a very important history, and in fact, it's recognized by the Texas Historical Commission. Blackshear was the first African-American school in Austin, and it was the first African-American school in the Southwest to have a school library. Last year, it became Austin's first Fine Arts Academy for elementary students, and this year, it's a nominee for the U.S. Department of Education's 2015 Blue Ribbon School Awards. So congratulations for that as well. When you apply for a grant from the Laura Bush Foundation, we ask about the needs of the students and their library. And this year's grant will help Mr. Grape purchase materials on William Shakespeare and his writings, as well as other artists and their works. He'll add books to accommodate the fine arts goals of this school, books that teach students and teachers about photography, music, and dance. He'll expand the e-book collection so that students can read books on any device or listen as they have books read to them. For the past 2 years, Blackshear has collaborated with the Austin Public Library and Austin ISD on a project to keep students reading all year, even through the summer months. I know that Mr. Grape and all of your teachers will join me in reminding all of the students here to keep reading during the summer. It's important that you read for 30 minutes every day so that you don't start school next fall with less reading skills than you ended this school year with. I've given Mr. Grape a copy of my reading list, which includes some of my favorites. And in fact, Are You My Mother was one of my favorites that the first graders here acted out for me this morning. Reading is important to success in school. If you can read every subject. You can read science books to learn about volcanoes, or you can read social studies book and learn about some of our presidents, like George Washington, or Abraham Lincoln, or even George W. Bush. No matter what you want to be when you grow up, a doctor or a lawyer or a senator or an artist or a teacher, reading will help you achieve your goal. One student told me that reading is a portal. It opens up other worlds. Books purchased by grants from the Laura Bush Foundation will help students understand more of the world around them and its limitless possibilities. Congratulations to Blackshear Elementary and to every one of the schools that are winning Laura Bush grants this year, and to all the schools across the country that are being awarded grants as well. Thank you all very, very much. Thanks a lot.